If things later turn out badly, they might look back and regret their actions, but also they learn from them. We say they are sadder but wiser. Have you ever had an experience that made you sadder but wiser? Think about that, and if you have anyone to share that with someone this week. So your new vocabulary for this lesson. You will need to get your note paper out because you will need to write these down. You will need them later in the lesson, okay? First word, wreck. Second word, dependable. Third, to admit. Fourth word, ulcer. Fifth word, to aggravate. Sixth word, condition. Seventh word, score. Eighth and final word, coach. Because you're not able to see anything, you're only able to hear. If you don't know how to spell these words, you will have to look them up in the dictionary. Okay, but you'll need to write them down, spelling them correctly, and we will use them later in this lesson. Next, I will read you 3 separate conversations. In each conversation, you will have to decide who was the sadder but wiser person. Conversation number 1, conversation A, we will say, is between Hank and Tony. And I will have to read you each person's titling each person's speech because you can't see the words. So let's get started. Conversation A. Hank says, "Great, just great. Now what do we do? Here we are in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire and no spare. We'll never get to the beach." Tony says, "Yeah, but there's nothing we can do about it now." Hank says, "This is all your fault. Everybody warned you about this car, Tony. You should have listened to us when we told you not to buy this old wreck. Look at it. The windshield's cracked. One headlight doesn't work." Tony interrupted. "I couldn't afford anything better. This car was a real bargain." Hank says, "If you had saved up more money, or if you had looked a little harder, you could have bought something more dependable." Tony says, "Yeah, my sister told me the same thing. But if I had followed her advice, I would have bought a motorcycle instead." Hank says, "And we wouldn't be stuck out here now." So the conversation between Hank and Tony, which of the two was sadder but wiser? Who was sadder but wiser? And why? Conversation B is between a patient and a doctor. Patient says, "I knew I should have stuck to a better diet and gotten more exercise, but I didn't have the time. Now I have this terrible stomach ache." Doctor says, "If you had followed my advice, you wouldn't have gotten so sick. Now we'll have to admit you to the hospital for tests and possibly for treatment." Patient says, "Oh no, I can't believe it. I can't miss more work." Doctor says, "If you had acknowledged you had an ulcer, you wouldn't have aggravated your condition. If you had stopped smoking, relaxed, and watched your diet, your ulcer wouldn't have gotten so bad." Patient says, "But doctor, Aren't ulcers caused by stress? If I had quit smoking, I would have been even more of a nervous wreck than I am now. Doctor says, well, you can't go on like this. You have to get off the fast track and slow down. Patient says, I suppose if I'm stuck in the hospital, I'll have no choice. Of the two, the patient, the doctor, who is the sadder but wiser person, and why? Conversation C, and last one, is between a reporter and a person named Farrer. Reporter. So Farrer, would the score have been any different if you had played the last 5 minutes of this game? Farrer says, I'd like to think so, but I couldn't go on. My knee was killing me. When I sprained it last week, the doctor told me to stop playing, but I didn't take his advice. I decided to play tonight anyway. I just didn't want to let the team down. Reporter says, maybe you should have taken your doctor's advice more seriously. Farrer says, I guess so. The coach shouldn't have let me play. Now I'll probably need surgery and be on the bench for the rest of the season. Okay, between the two, the reporter and Farrer, who is the sadder but wiser person, and why? Okay, now with your vocabulary. I have the 8 vocabulary that I read to you in the beginning of the lesson. I would like for you to write in your notebook how each of those 8 vocabulary words are used in the sentence. It is not necessary to look them up in the dictionary word for word. What I would like for you to do is tell me in your own thinking, in your own words, how that word is used and what that word means in the lesson. You know, I can tell if you've actually written down the definition from the dictionary. Okay, but how is it used in the reading? Okay. If you finished all the other exercises from this lesson before the week is up, you could also do dictation or repetition. Dictation is every sentence that I spoke, you could actually write it down, or you could do repetition where you just repeat every sentence that I spoke. You guys enjoy your Merry Christmas. I'm so sorry that it's rainy during this Christmas season, but make time for fun, for family, and enjoyment. And I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.